so nice being in this home because it really feels like you. Even just walking around these areas by the studio and looking around and ignoring the really sweet, poignant photos your mum has stacked up, like perfectly.
I know, like the dentist office.
Yes, and they're perfectly stacked as well. It's like there's so
Mama T.
totally. But it just feels very much like you live here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't always get that feeling, not to put anyone on blast, but sometimes I'm like, oh no, you tour a lot. This doesn't feel like your home.
Yeah.
This has got you written all over it. Has the idea of home changed to you after you lost that home and then you went through so much significant personal change? Like, what is home now? What is a home?
A home to me is, and it can be any space, any size, that when someone else enters that space, they know it's yours. And I don't think you would think anyone but me would probably live here.
I just called it.
The reason that there's like the big screen behind us, I like to create animation, so I can animate in here. I can do my music video editing in here. And it's really just, I think something about staying where the song is made, because like it kind of lives in here forever. When you walk through a historic home or like a landmark, you can like feel its history. I feel the same way about my studios and my spaces. But then again, keeping that slight protection and slight detachment to knowing it can all go away and it's all the stuff. And when I'm gone, it'll be someone else's.
But that guitar, the acoustic guitar, doesn't feel like
that's
stuff.
my new. That acoustic guitar, that's a 1957 Martin.
Yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, that's serious. And then I just got a
I love the Fender.
She's from 1969, and I like that she's a blondie, so I like that she was blonde.
It's the only color for a Fender in my
69.
opinion.
It's my favorite color, blonde.
Do you play them?
Yeah, I play them.
There's so many interesting musical references on this album, on Plastic Hearts. I'm so thrilled as a fan that you pivoted away and worked on a body of work. I thought the She Is trilogy was going to be interesting. But when I knew that you were making an album, I was like, all right, now I get to hear what the complete body of thought
is
going to feel like.
The kind of She Is era was, I guess, some sort of a representation of my, I guess, a little bit of a fear of commitment when it comes to having actually what you said, it's perfect when we're talking about the statement. Having a full body of work, it's saying, here's who I am.
Yeah.
And when you make a record, especially the way that I used to actually make albums, you have to turn that in half a year before anyone's going to hear it. You're distant from it. You're time heals all.
Yeah.
The songs that are filled with pain or love or life, you're removed from it because your senses aren't really so attached to those memories anymore. And so I always hated making physical records. I'm so happy that we've moved into a new way of putting out music.
Especially if you say goodbye to yourself every night.
And that's what I'm saying. By the time, look, dude, this is daily that I change, And I actually really don't like when people, say that it's being fickle or you don't get to just decide, actually me and Watt, we've gotten into an argument about this before because I said, if I say something 5 minutes ago, that's what I said 5 minutes ago because I believed it. And so he was like, that is unfair that you live your life that way. That's fine to be that way as an artist, but as a person, as a friend, I'm like, no.
He's just trying to get his own way. He's pressing the buttons.
I know, he's the master at that. I'm taking notes. But I've had that in a lot of, friendships, relationships, collaborators, because I evolve just really quickly and change really quickly. And everything that happens changes my experience. I'll be different tomorrow because of this, because maybe I'll realize something or something that was in here that needed to kind of be released does. And now I don't feel that way towards it anymore.
This is about the most in the moment I've heard someone describe themselves in a very long time. You talk about release. It comes at you have to just like waste stuff. And on this album, on Plastic Hearts, I'm just going to go there, man. Relationships get a tough time on this album.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Like brutal.
Yeah.
Like there's lines on this record that are just like, wow. Serious sense of self-awareness. I will never be that person that you want me to be. I will never be that faithful person you want me to be. I will never be able to commit. That's so funny out
of all the songs, because Never Be Me is a song that even Mark kind of challenged when I first wrote it, because Mark had made this
Ronson for the record.
Mark Ronson had made the most beautiful arrangement. It was something that was very simple. He's not the guy. It's totally different experience working with someone like Watt or someone like, Mike Will on Bangers. He does not have just like a beat library. Mark Ronson, it's an arrangement.
Yeah.
So he's not going through and flipping through beats and saying, it's not pick one. You're not going through the rack and trying stuff on and seeing what fits. It's customized, which I adore.
Yeah.
And so it was something super simple. And the words just literally started getting like pulled out of me.
Had to, because you don't sit there and think those through.
No, I actually had a really kind of intense conversation about that song the other day because men happen to notice that song on the record a lot more than, women do. Because I thought it was kind of like my Bonnie Tyler moment, you know? That's what I was really writing. And I thought women would go, yes, that's totally me. But actually men are always like, are you really never able to be that person, you know? I'm a tripper, but this is how I think of songs. When I write a song like that, I capture something that is inside of me. I kind of call it like, temptation or a little part of evil or a little bad, even though it's totally not evil to have that thought. But it's something that doesn't have to be who I am, but I get to capture it and honor a feeling that I have in a moment. And I can capture it like a fucking firefly and have it and admire it, but it doesn't have to come with me and be a part of who I am anymore. Because I'm really proud of like my loyalty that I have towards those that I love, or, down to the animals. I just, like when I love, I am very loyal to people. You could tell this by any time you've seen me or any of my team or, I'm just a loyal person. But there's times, where it says, is it wrong that in my mind I walk the line, I lay with fire, And I felt that way right then. And I got to capture it and I didn't have to take it with me anymore. So in a way, you get to kind of honor it and know that it's a part of you, but that it doesn't now have to be who you are anymore.
This is the trade. Mm-hmm. If you don't get to express yourself through that thought and commit it to music, to art, to expression, it sits with you. It can fester.
Yeah.
It can get really malignant.
Yeah.
It can become a problem in your life.
Yeah.
You release it, keeps you balanced, and guess what? Others hear it, they don't feel quite so crazy.
Right, 100%.
That's the trade.
You feel less alone when you listen to songs like that.
Yeah.
And you say like, okay, this is human. I'm human.
Yeah.
She's human. I'm human. It erases that divide between the artist and the audience. I don't like that divide. I am my audience, And like, I don't even really like the idea of an audience, I guess it's like the listener, or I don't even really like the word fans, because in a way it's like, to me, this career has been so long from the age that I started, who you are from the time where I was introduced to my audience at 12 to who I am now. They really know me pretty well. We've had a very intimate.
But you fought to pull that barrier down.
Yeah, I don't like that barrier at all.
Yeah, but it's an incredibly transparent space for you to live in. If you're going to be transparent and remove that gap between the stage and the crowd, metaphorically speaking this time, you have to show it all. You can't just show the good shit.
Well, that's actually why I created a C stage on Bangers, and it was low. It was a couple feet lower than the stage because I didn't want people looking up at me.
Right.
That felt like some weird royalty or something. I didn't want this. I want like, we're connected.
But this goes back to that thing you said before, where you said, sometimes I feel guilty about the level of security and what I've been able to build for myself in relation to the people that I'm sharing this existence with.
Yeah, and writing a song like Never Be Me, it's a sacrifice too, and it's a choice that I commit to, because some of the songs I write, I am not ignorant to the pain that they can cause to the subjects. And a lot of the time have to choose, again, is it worth it for me to release this? And I mean release it not to everyone else, but to me, to allow this thought or this feeling to come out. And because it's giving it power. Like my dad says, you write it down, you speak it, you give it power. It's real now. It's something more than the thoughts in your head. Now, one thing that I've really been into lately is the voices in your head. I think there's kind of three of us in here. I think there's that angel, there's the devil, there's the one that goes, well, this is what I really want. Yeah, but if you do that, then the repercussion. And then there's the person sitting in the back that's actually just observing. So this is kind of the theory behind it, is that if you're the listener, if you're the one listening to the voices inside your head, they aren't you because you're observing it. Mm-hmm. And it's just like you're having the same thought as me right now because I'm telling you it, so you're computing it, but you're not me. And so the two voices in your head are not you. And the only thing that they do is create your perspective for you and kind of narrate your life and help you digest, I guess, everything that's happening. It's almost like a computer, but they're not you. And so the voices inside my head, I guess, they're kind of the ones that also write some of this music. But it's not necessarily me who's observing. Does that make any sense? You should read a book called Untethered Soul.
I've heard about it.
So that's where the concept comes from.
That's what creates the self-obsessed borderline narcissism that people realize, oh, there's just a selfishness there, or there's an inability to see beyond your own framework, and it's really just because you're consumed by these voices.
Yeah.
But until you realize that, until you read that book, until you start to analyze and identify what your best pathway through that is, most people tend to lean into destructive ways to quieten the voices.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that behavior? Is that part of why you found yourself in and out of trouble here and there and doing things like that? Because you're trying to cope?
For sure. I mean, I think especially just my experimentation, we'll call it, with drugs, with alcohol. I mean, all of that was just me. Sometimes I guess also wanting to excuse them and allow them to run wild.
Yeah.
Like in a way, getting messed up was a way of me allowing myself to do things that I never really would allow those voices to
the chicken
control.
and the egg.
Exactly. So I think now my life has been truly changed by the concept that I'm not the voice inside my head, that I'm just observing, because there's like a piece to it of knowing. It's actually the way that it's explained in the book is you would never hang out. If those were physical beings, you would never hang out with the voices inside your head. They never stop. When you're watching a movie, it's like, well, did I turn off the stove? Did I whatever? If your friend was in there like, did you do this today? Did you put a gas in the car? You'd be like, shut up. Like, I'm just trying to watch a movie, or I'm just trying to go outside and enjoy my garden, or I'm just trying to take a drive with my mom. The thing that really made me just commit to this theory and really try to balance myself in it is my mom losing her mom. Because, one day I was driving in the car next to the beach with my mom, and I was thinking about something totally else. I was not there. I was there with her, but I was not there. I was thinking about the record. Did I turn in the mix? Do I actually like the way that Hate Me sounds? I'm still kind of annoyed with something that I chose to do on the last chorus of Hate Me. It still bothers me. And so I'm sitting here like, you know what? I should have told Lou Bell. No, I don't like that. And so I'm sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, yo, do you know what my mom would give to be in the car driving next to the beach with her mom right now? The fact that these two voices are trying to steal this moment from me.
Stay present.
I am not them. So the presence is the one sitting and observing that's just at peace with where I am at that moment.
That takes discipline, though.
And that's where I thrive. So luckily, it's been a quick adjustment for me. Once I take it and absorb it, it's pretty easy for me to apply it.
Isn't there a part of you as well, though, just based on what I've read and mainly what I've heard through your music, that as soon as you get discipline in something, you're like...
Yeah, destructive. Well, it's when it no longer serves or no longer feels like it's a part of me anymore. I mean, that's a part of the constant shift of every second is changing me so much, which is terrifying, really, for everyone that experiences me. I'm my best friend, but I don't know if I'd want to be my best friend if I wasn't in my own body. I've had to learn that it's not selfishness, because I used to feel guilt
Terrible
with that.
shame for it,
I used to feel a lot of shame, and I learned that guilt and shame are different. Changes your life. Guilt is healthy. Guilt is, if I don't wear my mask, I'm going to hurt someone.
Right.
And so I need to wear this mask.
Shame is a killer.
Shame is never going to help you.
Killer.
I hate shame. So there is no shame in the fact that this is me. There's qualities. If you're destructive and you're hurting other people, you have to work on yourself. It's constant effort. But I want to be my best friend, actually. I'd be my best friend because of my loyalty. Because when I shift like that, I don't leave bodies behind. I take everyone with me for the journey. It's just like, you got to walk fast.
I've asked a few artists this question, and the answer is universally the same. In having to focus on expressing yourself through your craft and learn about yourself in the moment, and then ultimately work that moment, reach people and grant people, is what is the greatest sacrifice? And every one of them says relationships.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I would say, because see, that's totally loaded. That idea is totally loaded. So now we have to go through and now I'm not a vague person anymore. You'd have to go through and dissect that, because in a way, the relationships that I get to create, and I know what kind of relationships most people are talking about, because our minds and our lives revolve around love. It's all we want. But when you can see all the different types of love that you have in your life, at times it's lonely, and I get that, and I get wanting to have partnership, and I get that people want to create families, and I really get the longing for love and for, but to me, and only to me, it's an honor to find it. But animals pair up, it's instinctual. It's not a choice. That's programming. And I tried to not be a total servant to the programming, because that to me is ingrained and like embedded, and probably every woman in my family line before me probably,
Had
has
that
had
conditioning.
someone, had kids, and had, so that's ingrained in me. But I don't actually have that idea. So if I can disconnect from, well, that's what I'm supposed to want, but I don't, and I'm okay with it. And I do. But sitting here right now, I'm just happy to sit here with you. There's nothing that I'm like, well, if I had this, it'd be better. It's like, it always would be. It's always going to be better. And what I've also learned is like when someone, talking about timing, it's like, well, this isn't a good time for that. It's never a good time. It's never a good time for your house to burn down. It's never a good time to go through a divorce. It's never a good time for your grandma to die. It's never a good time. Like, it's going to happen when it happens. And like acceptance, and it's not going to be easy. And I've also I've made myself sit in discomfort lately and loneliness.
How have you done that?
I will really turn off all my devices, everything in my house, no TVs, no phone, no computer, nothing, no music, and just sit and let it come up, because it will. And it hurts. It's excruciating. And I did it probably 3 nights ago, and like, sobbed by myself, and like, I felt so good the next day, because you cannot do this forever. And we live in a society where we're asked to just compartmentalize.
Distraction.
Cannot do it.
Move.
Exactly.
Don't look back. Don't look back.
Dude, I mean, our ancestors would have had ceremonies for a month if someone passes away.
Yeah.
And I remember my grandma died on a day that it was like right midnight sky. Maybe I'd been out for 2 days, and I was going to miss interviews. And it's like, do you think you could do that one? And it's like, I have to honor my grandma, my mom was adopted. And like, so if my grandmother wouldn't have adopted my mother, like, it's so crazy. So, and also people, have the attachment to, like, you want to have your own children, you want to whatever. I come from a mother who is adopted, who, like, I have such a love for those who take in children and make them their own and give them a family to be a part of. Because my mom, like, that cosmic alignment is wild.
That must blow your mind.
Blows my mind. Because she chose her. And somehow it's almost, I dare to say, almost as or more miraculous than having your own children. Because the way that you really can become a mother to someone who the kind of that biology, the DNA.
That is nurture over nature.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there is no doubt, like, my grandmother is my grandmother. And I am so much like her. Yeah, so there's something I'm like really love about it. So with the relationship thing, instead of allowing that to just be a preset, I've tried to really push the reset button on these like settings that we're all kind of AI, I guess.
When did you start to do that though? When did you start? I mean, obviously you could say that's the frog in the pot of boiling water, and then it suddenly happens. But the way you've described it, reset, not preset, it's perfect. So that to me is a headline. You got to get to a headline. You don't just work up to it. You just go, oh my God, that's not me. So many great lyrics on this album, but there's a line in there where it's bad karma to have a double life, to live a double life.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, that's a big lyric.
Yeah,
Wow.
I wrote that sitting in traffic. And I started with, you may think I'm ghosting, but the truth is I'm a liar. And it's like, I saw you wanted to tell you, but you ain't a fucking buyer. And like, it was just the truth. And I got to the studio, and Mark so many times was like, oh my God. Like, I actually have cold-blooded tattooed, because I heard the word cold-blooded so much when I was making this record.
But Mark's calling you cold-blooded.
So, this was from Mike Will, and he goes, man, dog, you are cold-blooded. And I thought, I'm going to go write that. So I wrote a song called Cold-Blooded, and it's not even on the record. But
well, if we're talking about cold-blooded, let's just double down at the table and talk about the line, I always pick a giver because I've always been a taker.
Yeah. I have to. I'd rather just do it. I'll think about it later. Kiss me, bad karma. I had written this song, like, I think I was driving to Mark's place in Hollywood, and then I revisited it after I hadn't thought about it for a little while when I was in New York at Electric Lady. He started just playing it through the speakers. He's like, I bet you forgot about this, your freaking musical vomit that you created over at my studio. And he presses play, and I just start hearing like, da, 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 da. And then with Joan, when I got Joan Jett on the song, it was like, because he kept saying, like, this is the most Miley record of all time. And I thought, there's only one person who could own this record more than me. It's Joan Jett, because that's who instilled that mentality into me.
Yeah.
Cherry Bomb.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't give a damn about my bad reputation. That's what that song is.
Totally.
You know?
I own it.
Yeah, never. And
By the way, you wish you had it.
Yeah.
You don't like it because you wish you were free like me.
Yeah. Even the bridge is saying, like, I don't give a fuck. I don't believe in luck. That's why I do what I want to do. I actually don't believe in karma, because if karma was real, I think we'd see it more play out than it does. I think that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like, I mean, to me, I wrote that when Donald Trump became president, because that's the day I kind of thought karma might not be real.
But don't you identify to some degree with Buddhism?
Yeah,
Applied elements of that faith to your lifestyle?
I just haven't always seen karma play out in the life that you're in right now.
But that's the whole point
So,
of karma, is you might not see it.
It's probably going to come back in another life, and that's why I said I'd rather do it. I'll think about it later. I'll think about it in the next one.
Right.
Whoever I come back as, they can deal with that.